With as many users as YouTube has, it's inevitable that not all of them are still with us. Sometimes they pass naturally, sometimes not so much. Sometimes they are even killed. YouTube really features an endless sea of content with millions of channels out there. Given that the platform has existed for quite a while now, not all of these YouTubers are still going to be around. Sometimes they lose their life to an illness, sometimes it's old age, sometimes it's during filming a stunt, and sometimes they've even been killed. Whether they were murdered in cold blood or they were actually the aggressor and they were taken out in self-defense, there are a lot of stories to tell. Now we have the story of Thomas Brinkley. Michael Cravey, born in 1986, was better known by his name on YouTube, Thomas Brinkley. He was an American YouTuber that mainly did vlog-style videos and commentary. While he created a large mod for the game Deus Ex that he called Invisible War Revisited, he was more known for his conspiracy theory videos. One of Michael's favorite topics to cover was the Dark Knight Aurora Theater shooting and the suspect in that case, James Holmes. He made several different videos explaining his conspiracies around the shooting, acting as if he had secret info unknown to the public that would really make waves. He never presented anything of the sort. He also took a very big interest in 9/11 related conspiracies, and that's what garnered him the most views. He came to believe that he was being, in his words, abused by the power structure, and said that Twitter was behind it all. In one paranoid video, he urged his viewers to only trust what he says in his videos, feeling that his social media was compromised. This feeling was likely not based in reality as, at the time, he had only about 1,000 subscribers and barely any views on his videos. He blamed this too on the government, saying that they were altering his view count. As his videos went on, he only grew more paranoid and more delusional, believing that the government, Israel, and/or Twitter were trying to shut him down. He didn't seem to realize that a lot of his conspiracy theories were pretty widely circulated. They weren't unique to him by any means. Plenty of other people who got much more views weren't facing the same treatment. This all culminated on March 3rd, 2014 at around 7 a.m. Michael entered into the parking lot of Lee Hall in the University of Florida. He wanted to speak with a professor. This professor and his wife had a brief discussion with Michael, but he quickly snapped. He pulled out a knife and stabbed the professor multiple times, mainly in his neck. Witnesses to the scene said that he was laughing maniacally all the way. One woman who witnessed the crime called 911, saying, "This is a really big emergency. Someone's been stabbed." She detailed that she had seen a man who appeared to be in his late 20s stab another man. She added, "I thought something was going on because someone was laughing, and he had a knife and he started stabbing him, and he grabbed his wallet. Oh my god, he's going to get me." Michael hopped into his Jeep and sped off down the road. He was driving erratically, driving the wrong way down a busy street and running red lights. For the time being, the police stopped chasing him due to the danger to the other drivers on the road. They were right. Michael ended up crashing into another car a couple of hours later. He survived the crash and hopped out of his car, running to a local Best Buy parking lot. Police soon swarmed the area. One officer noticed Michael speaking to someone in a parked car while hiding a hatchet behind his back. He then started walking towards a PetSmart store. The officer pulled up his gun and ordered Michael to drop the weapon. Michael looked at the officer and sprinted towards him, raising his hatchet into the air. The officer then fired at him, sending him dropping to the ground. The officers on scene applied emergency first aid to Michael until the paramedics arrived. He was taken to the hospital, but he died from his wounds shortly after. The professor that he stabbed survived his injuries. Now, many other conspiracy theorists out there believe that Michael was killed because he knew too much. They believe his claims that Twitter was tweeting out fake tweets under his name and that YouTube was altering his view counts to make him seem less popular. In the comments of some of his videos, witnesses to the crime say that the news about it was completely accurate, while others make the claim that they only saw what the government wanted them to see. Now we have the story of Warner the Goobermeister. Benjamin Roger Ross Pardun, known on YouTube as Warner the Goobermeister or Gary Paladin 21115, was a young 16-year-old American YouTuber known for making cartoon edits and YouTube poops. Throughout his tenure on YouTube, he had netted himself about 7.5 million views. Benjamin was part of a close-knit Italian-American family and took a lot of pride in his heritage. While he was homeschooled, he was still very passionate about learning all sorts of different subjects. He took an interest in Spanish in particular. Being homeschooled, he didn't really have many friends in real life to speak of. He had made up for this with the internet. Ever since he joined YouTube in 2013, he was able to meet all sorts of different people with similar interests on Discord, many of them from countries all over the world. He took part in various collabs, helped friends with their own works, and was working on developing a series of his own. In 2021, Benjamin uploaded his last video, one called Family Guy minus the Comedy, on December 21st. Benjamin's end would be a very sad one that would shock his family, his friends, and his viewers all over the world. On January 27, 2022, Benjamin's father, Gregory Pardun, completely snapped. For reasons still unknown, he shot and killed his son, Benjamin, and his wife, Deborah. Police were called out to the house just after 8 p.m. that night. There they found all three of them. With the killer dead and leaving nothing behind, we will likely never know why Benjamin was murdered. A good number of his fans have come to pay tribute to him over the years in the comments of his videos. And here is the weird story of Cosmo Setapenra. Gavin Eugene Long was born in July of 1987. He had served in the US military, and following his service, he had told friends and family that he was suffering from a pretty severe case of PTSD. This would lead him down a mental decline that would result in his personality becoming something bizarre, according to those who knew him. He ended up on all sorts of medications: Valium and Ativan for anxiety, Lunesta for sleep, and citalopram, which is an antidepressant. Gavin came to start a YouTube channel where he went by the name Cosmo Setapenra, a name that he would start using for his various other works as well. After a bit of time, he even changed his legal name to Cosmo. He would regularly post commentary videos in a series called Convos with Cosmo. A lot of these videos were very low effort, only showing a still image while he rambled into the microphone. Eventually, he started to record himself as well, upping the quality a little bit. In his videos, which have been described by many as ramblings, he claimed to be a former member of the Nation of Islam. He took a large interest in police protest and the relationship between Black Americans and the cops. He came to show support for attacks on police officers, calling them acts of justice. He said, 100% of revolutions have been successful through fighting back through bloodshed. He came to believe that all protests should be violent, saying that peaceful protests were entirely futile because they weren't as memorable as a grand violent act. Cosmo started branching out from YouTube. He made a website under his name where he called himself a freedom strategist, mental game coach, nutritionist, author, and spiritual advisor. On the website were a load of different videos that weren't on YouTube, usually more long-winded rant podcasts. He came to write and self-publish 3 books under his name that he described as self-empowerment for Black males that taught you how to be a strong man. In the books, he came to complain about Western medicine, said that germ theory wasn't real, and stated that Black people are superior humans, mentally and physically, and that it had something to do with the extra melanin in their bodies. He made his hatred for white people very clear. A book critic came to review the books, calling them bizarre, saying that they were a combination of New Age-style jargon, pseudoscience, motivational bromides, health tips, and racial theory. Cosmo came to grow very interested in shootings. He started visiting a gun shop and shooting range in Olathe, Kansas, purchasing a target to use at home for practice. The shop owner said that he didn't buy any guns and didn't seem like a strange person at all. Cosmo came to develop a negative reputation after he would continually use police shootings to promote his books. While this isn't really odd enough on its own, he would do so in person, at the site of the shootings very shortly after they happened. His mom said that he would obsessively watch news stories about shootings between Black men and the police anytime they happened, and would usually, right after, rent a car to drive out where they had happened in order to gawk at the scene and peddle his book to mourners. He even started posting to Twitter, celebrating whenever a shooter turned out to be Black and not white. One friend said that Cosmo came to visit him in DeSoto, Texas, 2 days after a shooting occurred there. Using a body cam, he went around to local barbershops to push his books. After he came back to his friend's house, he obsessively watched the video of the man in that shooting being killed. He praised the shooter, Micah Xavier Johnson, saying, at least he did something. He also presented a card for the Washita Nation to his friend. The Washita Nation is an African-American sovereign citizen movement. The name is stolen from an actual Native American tribe that used to live in what is now Oklahoma. They believe that Napoleon only sold the actual streets of New Orleans and some military barracks to the United States, meaning that anyone else in Louisiana can declare their own nation. They also run a diploma mill. Many different courts have labeled the Washita Nation as having zero basis in reality. Cosmo's friend declined to join. In Baton Rouge, Louisiana, police officers had shot a Black man named Alton Sterling in July 2016. This led to a wave of protest and even a foiled plot by a few gunmen to kill police officers in a mass shooting. As he usually did, Cosmo decided to rush out to the scene himself to scope things out. Before he arrived in the city, he posted a roughly 10-minute video, saying that he wasn't going there to protest alongside people, he was going to take it upon himself to educate people. He praised other mass shooters, seemingly talking about school shootings by saying that they had successfully fought back against their bullies. He said that he is above these 7 billion other people on Earth and so powerful because he stands on his rights. He says that because he is so smart and articulate, the police will try to arrest him on the spot when he tries something. On July 17, 2016, at around 7 a.m., Cosmo put together a 3-page handwritten letter that he called his manifesto and sent it to, not the police or his own family, but instead to a musician in Ohio whose YouTube videos he often commented on. He said that he believed he needed to carry out a shooting to, quote, create substantial change within America's police force, saying that he believed there was a secret hidden war between the good cops and the bad cops taking place behind the scenes and that he needed to help kill the bad cops. 1 hour later at 8:40 a.m., the police got a call about a mysterious man carrying a rifle near the Hammond Air Plaza, a shopping complex. Contrary to what Cosmo believed, the police were pretty peaceful with him. While they asked him some questions, they made it clear that they had no probable cause to arrest him and weren't going to take him in. They mainly just wanted to know why he was walking around armed. Regardless, Cosmo decided that he was going to shoot them anyway. Within 2 minutes of them speaking to him, he pulled up his gun and fired a few shots. It was soon relayed that 2 officers were down. He had shot one of them and killed them on the spot and wounded his partner, who fell to the ground. A 3rd officer approached the scene and tried to help the wounded cops, but Cosmo began firing at him as he approached, shooting him multiple times and killing him. Cosmo then turned around and shot the wounded officer on the ground 2 more times, killing him as well. He then turned and shot toward another officer in the nearby shopping center. He then moved around to another area of the complex where he had parked and shot 2 more officers who were investigating his car. Cosmo took off on foot, and minutes later, he was said to have been near a local car wash. Police made their way out to the scene and took fire at Cosmo from the cover of their patrol cars. Soon after, a SWAT team arrived on scene. One of them took aim at Cosmo with his rifle and ended it with 1 shot. The shooting had lasted about 10 minutes. In the end, 3 officers had lost their lives, one of them being a black officer. A 4th, Corporal Nicholas Tullier, died on May 5, 2022 after years of treatment, bringing the death total to 4. The police identified Cosmo as being a black separatist. A professor of psychiatry said that he showed all the signs of being a disgruntled, paranoid loner with a narcissistic and grandiose personality, fitting the profile of a mass shooter to a T. Amazon delisted all of his books shortly after the crime took place. To this day, Cosmo still gets comments on his YouTube channel in support of what he did. Now we have the story of Displace. Mark Williams, born in 2003, was a young English vlogger who mainly posted parkour videos to YouTube under the channel name Displace. He uploaded his first video on May 14, 2019. This video showed him running away from the security guards at the Churchill Square. He said that he was inspired by other content creators who made similar videos. Another man named Lewis Ashdown had met Mark through commenting on his videos. After a while, the two felt that they had become pretty good friends. They started to collab on the Displace videos, often exploring abandoned places around England and doing parkour together. On May 29, 2021, the 2 of them met to film another video. Lewis started giving Mark alcohol and continued to do so until the early morning hours, even though Mark continued to say that he was done and didn't want anymore. Mark called his aunt shortly before midnight, saying that he would come home soon, but he couldn't at the moment because he was too drunk. Lewis, then breaking into a complete frenzy, pulled out a knife that he had taken from his mom's kitchen and stabbed Mark with it. Mark begged him to call an ambulance, but he didn't let up. Lewis continued to stab him over and over again, even gouging his eyes out while he was still alive. Disturbingly, he filmed the act as well, taking 7 videos in total throughout. The whole attack lasted an entire hour. The attack ended with Lewis dumping Mark's body into a river nearby and making his escape. Lewis then went home, actually seeming completely normal, even happy. His mom didn't notice anything at all was amiss with him. The next day, Lewis played some soccer and went to the local theater to see a movie. Afterward, he made his way over to a friend's house. Getting drunk with this friend, he told him that he had done something terrible. When this friend asked him what he did, Lewis pulled out his phone and showed him the video clips. This friend was frozen in shock, unsure how to get out of this situation without being killed himself. As time came to pass without hearing a word from him, Mark's family reported him missing. The police, searching for him, found that they couldn't locate Lewis either. Searching Lewis's home, they found some bloody clothing in his bedroom. Now they had a murder investigation on their hands. It wasn't long before they found Lewis at the friend's house and arrested him. The friend, still terrified at what he had seen, told the police that Lewis had just confessed to murder. After arresting Lewis, the police found Mark's body washed ashore in the woodlands near town, clearly suffering multiple stab wounds all over his body. Lewis's first appearance in court took place on August 23, 2021. He pled guilty to murder and possession of an offensive weapon. The police debated on showing the video he had taken of the murder in order to make the case more ironclad, but the video was deemed too brutal to show. 2 months later, Lewis was sentenced to a life sentence with a minimum of 27 years in prison. After the sentencing, Mark's family released a statement to the public, saying, "There are no words to describe Lewis Ashdown. He truly is a despicable, cowardly liar who murdered our generous and loving son Mark in the most terrible way for his own gratification. While Mark was not perfect, he was not malicious and did not deserve to be murdered or have anyone call Lewis Ashdown his friend." And now we have the sad story of Andrija Sikic. Andrija Sikic was a young piano player from Serbia, born on March 5, 2009 in Belgrade. From a very young age, he showed an interest in music, learning to play piano when he was only 6 years old. He had a YouTube channel under his own name that showcased his skills at playing. He won multiple awards throughout his young life and performed at concerts within the country of Serbia and even internationally as well. While he would usually post these piano performances, he would also include the occasional vlog. On May 3, 2023, a tragedy would come to take place. This was when a 13-year-old student, Kosta Kekmanovic, came to his school, the Vladislav Rybiknar Model Elementary School, with a gun. The young shooter opened fire on students and staff alike. He shot one boy before moving on to his next victim. This victim would be Andrija. Andrija wasn't going to go down without a fight, though. He struggled with the shooter and tried to disarm him. However, he was shot in the process. In the end, 9 students and a security guard also passed away. Adding insult to injury, the shooter, Kosta, would face no punishment as he hadn't reached the age of criminal responsibility in Serbia. Andrija's funeral came to take place on May 8, 2023. Following his death, various radio stations all over the country played his songs during a national day of mourning. A petition was started to hold a yearly contest in his memorial. That petition was a success, quickly reaching 50,000 signatures. The songs would be comprised by youth aged from 11 to 18. Following his death, Andrija's channel would be taken over by his family. To this day, they occasionally post videos of his old performances. And now we have the story of Dorsa Ganci. Dorsa Ganci was born in January of 2003. She was a Canadian citizen of Christian Iranian descent who still had family back in Iran. She was a student at the Jean Vanier Catholic Secondary School in Toronto. In school, she was given an award for top visual artist and was even the student with the highest grades from 10th grade onwards. She also had a more fun, dorky side as well. On YouTube, she had a channel called Maxi6565. She started making Five Nights at Freddy's related videos back in 2014. As the series came to boom in popularity, her channel's success only grew as well. Some of her videos were as short as 9 seconds long, while others were around 5 minutes in length. Most of the videos were musical animations and skits. Over time, her channel got more than 36 million views. For Christmas in 2019, Maxi had returned to Iran with her family over the winter break to visit. By January, it was time to come home. On January 8, 2020, she posted an Instagram story with her brother saying that she was hopping on a plane. She was heading back to Canada with her brother and her mother. The plane that they would be boarding was Ukraine International Airlines Flight 752, all set to take off from the Imam Khomeini International Airport in Tehran. After the Iranian general Qasem Soleimani had been assassinated, the Iranian government was on edge and taking a highly defensive stance. Shortly after the aircraft took off, the Iranian armed forces, in their paranoia, thought that the plane was a cruise missile and shot it down. The plane came crashing to the ground, and ultimately there were 0 survivors. The day after, on January 9th, several YouTubers uploaded videos explaining that Maxi had been killed, explaining that the plane she had been riding on had been shot down. A few months later in March, a memorial was held at her school for her, honoring her and her family. Now her father is left without his son, daughter, and wife. To this day, he posts the occasional tribute to Maxi on her YouTube channel. Here we have the case of Elliot Eastman. Elliot O'Neill Eastman was born in 1997. He was an American vlogging YouTuber from Hinesburg, Vermont, mainly known for his vlog-style videos and live streams. While he joined YouTube in December of 2015, he didn't actually start uploading for quite a while. Elliot graduated from the Champlain Valley Union High School back in 2016. He traveled to the Philippines for the first time in 2023. Here was where he met and married a woman in a small, remote Muslim area of the country, Carisha Jala. This was an area called Cebuco and Zamboanga del Norte. Elliot went back to the United States once briefly for work, but he returned to the Philippines shortly after in May of 2024. He decided that this time he was there to stay. It was a few months later when he started vlogging for the first time, sharing his daily life as he lived in the remote area of the country. He introduced the area by saying, "Zamboanga del Norte is a recently developed area of the Philippines that was once only accessible by boat. I will be showing you my day-to-day life as the first and only foreigner to have lived here in Cebuco for a long period of time. I am from the USA." Even the local police agreed that, because he was a foreigner, Elliot was absolutely in danger. Foreigners hadn't been treated well in the area historically. Elliot would make things even worse by making it known that he had some money. In some live streams, he would admit that he would loan money to the locals at 20% interest. This only painted an even bigger target on his back. At times, Elliot admitted that he couldn't even sleep at night due to fearing for his own safety. He said, "This area that I'm in is like the most dangerous area in the country, so it's literally like the red zone. There's nights I'm afraid, there's times I'm afraid, but it's gotten better. In the past, I've had a hard time sleeping at nighttime. That's the reality, especially the area that I'm in. It's not even just the Philippines." Elliot fully admitted that he wasn't liked in the area and that people wanted, in his words, bad things to happen to him. He even admitted that, word was, some of the locals had been talking about kidnapping him. The police even continually warned him themselves. He would continue to say things along the lines of, "As long as I'm here, my life is still at risk." That would prompt his American viewers to ask if he would consider just coming back to the US. He would respond that he wasn't sure. All of this would come true on October 17th, 2024. One night, a group of men broke into Elliot's home. 4 men dressed in all black clothing, holding M16s, introduced themselves as the police and made their way into his house. He was all set to be kidnapped, and he was wounded in the process. When he fought back and tried to escape, he was shot in the abdomen and the leg. The police soon heard of the incident and tried to pursue the attackers, but by then they had already taken Elliot and vanished. Elliot was dragged onto a boat and taken out on the Sulu Sea. After a while, he had bled out fairly badly, and it was clear that he wasn't going to make it. Seeing that their efforts had failed, his kidnappers threw him into the ocean. The police eventually came to find 3 of the kidnappers, Mursid Ahad, Abdul Sahibad, and Fahad Sahibad. In a confrontation, all 3 of them were killed. This only left the one remaining other man who was reported to have been in on the attack. For a few months, the police continued to search for him. On January 7th, 2025, they managed to find him. This man was a local named Ustadz Jakaria Jamani, the 35-year-old purported mastermind of the crime. The police issued a warrant for his arrest on allegations of kidnapping and serious illegal detention. Ustadz was arrested and taken into police custody. However, even with these 4 men dealt with, the police were still sure that others may have been involved to some degree. Other warrants have been filed with multiple other people. At this point, they still haven't been apprehended. While the investigation is still technically ongoing, the major players have been either arrested or killed. And now we have the story of Christina Grimmie. Christina Victoria Grimmie was born in 1996. She lived with her 2 parents and her older brother Mark. She was born and raised in Marlton, New Jersey. She started singing and playing piano from a very young age. While she took lessons, she was very good at playing by ear as well. She also developed a talent for playing the guitar, the drums, and the flute. She was always a very devout Christian, telling her fans that she sang for Jesus. With Christina's own friends knowing that she was a great singer, they convinced her to make a YouTube channel in order to post some of her covers online. She made an account called Zelda X Love 64 and uploaded her first video on July 17, 2009, a cover of Don't Wanna Be Torn by Hannah Montana. She continued doing various other covers, including another song by Miley Cyrus in August. These videos ended up landing her a lot of subscribers and even a small amount of fame. She was labeled as the 4th most subscribed to musician on YouTube around the time. She even took 2nd place in a contest called My YouTube, ranking higher than Rihanna, Justin Bieber, and Nicki Minaj. After that, her stepfather became her manager and she started playing her music in public. She grew in popularity all over the world. This was now a career for her. She performed at a UNICEF charity concert and performed backup vocals for Selena and The Scene, even opening for them at times. She even starred in a commercial for the Xbox Connect of all things with Selena and the band. Soon she was in a Doritos commercial, opening for the Jonas Brothers, appearing on Ellen, showing up on some Disney Channel shows, and even appearing on Dancing with the Stars. By 2013, Christina and her family had moved out to LA and she was releasing her second album. She even got her own show on the Disney Channel called Power Up with Christina Grimmie, 5-minute segments where she would talk about video games. One person who took more notice of her climb to fame than any other was a man named Kevin James Loibl, a 27-year-old guy from St. Petersburg, Florida, who she had never interacted with in her life. While he did work at Best Buy, he spent the majority of his life isolated in his room, living like a hermit according to his family. By 2015, he had grown completely obsessed with Christina. One man who called himself Kevin's only friend later said that Kevin would watch anything and everything there was about Christina. He spent almost every waking hour watching videos of her and looking at her social media. When at work, he would speak about her non-stop. He even started telling his co-workers that he and Christina played online games together. When they called him out for being a liar, he would get very angry and defensive, shouting that Christina was his soulmate. His co-workers even took all of this to their boss, concerned with his clear mental decline. Kevin was ready to do anything to make Christina his woman. He started doing everything he could to be more attractive for her. He got LASIK eye surgery to lose the glasses. He got his teeth bleached. He started following a vegan diet to lose all the weight he could. He even got a hair transplant that apparently didn't stick. However, everything came to hit a wall when photos surfaced online of Christina posing with a producer named Steven Reza. Kevin now developed a new mindset. If he couldn't have her, nobody would. Christina was soon going to open for a band called Before You Exit in Orlando. Kevin decided that this would be his chance to meet her. The day before that would take place, Kevin bought a ticket for the concert and packed 2 handguns, multiple magazines, and a knife. He took the hard drive out of his computer, ditched it, and hopped into a taxi heading towards Orlando. He checked into a hotel room where the staff found it odd that he didn't have any bags. The next evening, Kevin made his way out to the venue, the Plaza Live. Christina was setting up to open for the band. Kevin was seen in the back of the crowd, standing still in a black baseball cap with an intense gaze, while fans around him danced and sang. Afterward, Christina had a meet and greet. Kevin decided that this would be when he would carry out his attack. When it came his turn to meet Christina, she greeted him with her arms wide open and a happy expression on her face. Without saying a single word, Kevin pulled up one of his handguns, quickly aimed it at her, and fired 5 shots. 3 of them hit her at point-blank range, 2 of the shots hitting her in the chest and 1 in the head. Her older brother Mark tackled Kevin. He then turned the gun on himself and ended it. Christina was rushed to the hospital but was ultimately declared dead at 10:24 p.m. Nobody had any idea why Kevin had even done this. At his home, investigators found a note saying, "Deepest sorrow for loss to the family, friends, and fans of the very talented, loving Christina Grimmie. No other comments." 1 year after her death, her 3rd album was posthumously released. Once again, thank you for watching my video. If you found it interesting, please give it a like. It really helps me out in the algorithm, and feel free to subscribe if you want to see more content like this. These days, I have a merch store. There you can buy yourself some stuff. If you want, go ahead and follow me on social media. If anything ever happens to the channel, or if you just need to get a hold of me, that's probably the easiest way to do it. I also really appreciate when people subscribe to my Patreon. There you can get videos early, ad-free, and uncensored. Channel memberships are up too, and you can get most of the same benefits there as well. Once again, this has been your host Kyle. Thank you, and good night.